We're good here. We're live. All right. Sorry. What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. This is Propping Up on the Gold Boys Network, brought to you by Pickett, the top sports betting tracking app on the market. Thanks to Pickett. I'm GriffyBets, joined by Walla. We have a casual 15-game slate today. Nothing crazy. Should be nice and easy to get through. How's your morning been as you scan the board? Walla, good to see you.
Uh, yeah. I was saying, whenever you get a slate like this, it's always overwhelming, and especially after just like a small slate the night before. It's been seems to be their pattern, and it's been an interesting way to go about things. These huge slates, then just a couple games, huge slates, no games, whatever. But yeah, just on a slate like this, really, I tried not. I try to take my time a little bit, make sure I'm liking absolutely every angle, because you could start locking things in way too fast and get carried away. So that's what I'm trying to take a little bit slower approach here.
For sure. I think um, it did help that yesterday was only two games. I took some time to look at today's slate yesterday, just get things in order.
Mhm.
I do like, I feel like the small slates have been pretty kind to us. It's just a lot easier to find something that looks really good and leave it at that and keep it simple. These big slates, I can understand if anyone else out there gets overwhelmed looking at this stuff. For me, I try to it's all about bankroll management, as we've talked about before, and is another reason why Pickett is so great because you can easily visualize that sort of stuff, and not view this from one day is your whole season. It's a daily sport, and there's 7 8 months. So on a big slate like this, I try not to stress out about if my bets are a little higher than normal.
Mhm.
Because I think over a week it sort of all evens out. There's no games tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. There's only two games yesterday. I only had three plays myself yesterday. So I try not to get too stressed out if I start writing down, 8 to 10 plays because there are 15 games. And to be honest, that's almost sounds pretty reasonable when you got
Yeah.
30 teams playing. So as long as you're managing your bankroll well, I don't think it's a bad thing to have more bets out. It does get overwhelming to start tracking all of that once these games get going. But that's part of the fun. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to dig in for sure because I think there's a lot of good spots.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. If you don't want to leave out plays just for you're at the amount at a certain amount. You have your criteria, and you whatever meets it in your mind, you can back and play. I guess what I was saying was, when you have those small slates, right? It's just two games. You're really digging in. You don't have other thoughts. You're looking at one game, but when there's a huge slate, you might have another game in the back of your head, and maybe you start rushing your process a bit because of the thing. That's what I was getting at, was um you see all the games, you see all the lines, all this stuff starts jumping out at you, and you know, don't kick your process and just get carried away. That's what I was saying. I have no problem with a higher volume day on it's a 15 game slate, so you're gonna find stuff that jumps out at you. I was just thinking, it's on those small slate days, it's just less that you have to think about, so you can hone in a bit more. So just don't get sloppy with your process because of all the games.
For sure. Good advice. On a slate like this, do you we'll get to it, but you do lock in plays when they look really, really good. But do you writing everything down and then at the end sort of scanning back over it to pick your favorites, or when something just looks good, you just lock it in and keep on moving?
Yeah, so I like to start off with just my general looks, just based on a quick scan of the board. I think we build up a knowledge of the teams as the season goes on, so you could take a quick look and find lines that jump out to you. So I like try to write everything down, and then dig into those looks a little bit further. But yeah, no, there's definitely some that just jump out right away. And you can feel confident about. I don't mean anything bad about that. Uh, just 15 games, man.
So, I know.
Don't
Yeah.
and don't feel bad about if you look at a game and maybe it's just not jumping out at you. Um,
Yeah, keep it
Maybe
moving.
just use your time where it makes sense. Don't force yourself into something. So
Yeah, I find I like to think a lot of people watching here aren't just betting whatever we do, but are doing some research themselves because that's where I think the real joy comes from. If at any time whether you write stuff down with pen and paper or you're typing things out, I find if you start like making any noise like or like you write down like maybe next to a guy, that's probably just a good enough flag to not bet that and keep it moving because you'll find something else you're more excited about. I'll write like a little squiggly if I kind of like it, and then once I write down 10 names, it's like why would I bet this squiggly when I
mhm,
got these other guys I feel good about?
squiggly.
It's just my personal process.
All
Uh,
right.
all right, we should jump in. This week is going so far. I'm trying to simplify it. I'm just going to go down as the schedule that I've got. Blues Sabres is first game that I'm seeing. I bet the over in this one. Been trying to when I see games that I see scoring on both sides, and especially if there's a power play edge that pushes over the edge. I'm trying not to pick as many players, to have who's going to have the big game or who's going to score. I'm just rooting on goals, and this is one that I think looks pretty solid to go over 6.5 at -110. Buffalo's on a back to back, and the Blues have been rolling. I think what 3+ goals in how many straight did you say 6 or 7 at this
I think
point?
it was 7, I believe when I looked it up. So they've been scoring, which um yeah, I think there was a little if you look at some of these guys' charts, there was a little break in the middle for some of the more consistent guys. And they started yeah, they're looking good now. You've got yeah, Carew and Thomas have been working well together. Uh Tarasenko was out. Before we even jump in, I was looking up their lines today. Just look for clarity on that because I believe it said Buchnevich is out, or it said no Buchnevich on the practice lines. Tarasenko, I believe, was practicing and he was with O'Reilly, which is interesting. And then there it was a line of Carew, Thomas, and Walker, I believe. So keep an eye on what's going on there. I think if you're looking at player props and things like that, because you want to you want to know who's playing alongside each other before you get invested in that. Because if Tarasenko, if he's alongside O'Reilly, that's a little interesting to me. O'Reilly has points in 3 straight road games. Um, I don't know how much weight you want to put into it. Old team. So uh, if he has Tarasenko alongside of him, he's at plus 100 for a point, and I think that's a huge boost having a guy like that skating alongside you. And yeah, he seems to have been producing a little bit better on the road, so that stuck out to me a little bit. But again, need that lineup clarity.
For sure. But I do think I'd like the O'Reilly look. And I'd say there's going to be a couple power play goals in this one. Both teams have, above average power play scoring rate. And you couple that with two really struggling penalty kills. So that was kind of what put this over the edge. The over 7-3 in Buffalo's last 10. And for the last 5 games between these two teams went over 7 goals. Uh, I like the O'Reilly look. I think, Carew's been really solid and he's tied for the lead in power play points. So if you could just take that and feel a little bit more confident he gets a point tonight, uh, definitely some good looks. I also think Darlene deserves a shout out here for shots. I'm not too worried about Buffalo being on a back to back. They're coming home fresh off a 7-goal game. Darlene has gone over 2.5 in all 10 home games, and the Blues have led up the fourth most shots to defensemen. You need to parlay it with something, but worth flagging, getting on your radar. It's very juiced at 2.5, but he's been a rock there when he's at home.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good look. Was he hitting 4 in those games? Could you entertain an alt line at home on him, or is 3? I think 3 might be safer.
Three definitely safer. Let me bring it up. Just so I'm not just making up a take. Let's see here. Where is he at? There he is. At home,
Mostly
mostly
3.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
couple
yeah,
big games.
he's gone under in his last three, but this seems like a nice chance for him to bounce back. Um, I just the Blues have been letting up a lot of shots on the road, and I just like that Darlene's back home against a defenseman favorable opponent. I
Yeah,
mean, we had Cam Fowler, D-man on the Ducks, had 6 against St. Louis recently. John Carlson had 5. Um, McCarr went over with 4. Petrangelo, Theodore both had 5 plus. This is all just in the last 10 days. Carlson had 5. I mean, that guy always does. So I definitely think
yeah.
Darlene could be in for a nice big game here.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. He's been racking up points, assists, so he's involved all around. Could be a good look for multiple things. And in the same game, talking about defensemen, I just wanted to note on the other side, you got Falk was picking it up again. He had started the season really hot with points, and then kind of went a little quiet. But I believe he started picking it up again recently. So there's some angles here if you like you like the over in general, or if you like looking at the player points and stuff like that. I think this is going to be a good game. There's a few different angles to look at. Yeah, Falk has a point in 3 straight now, and it's 2 assists and a goal. So he was a guy who started off really hot. Seems to be finding it again a little bit. Keep an eye on those Blues lines.
For sure. Yeah, I'm just enjoying my in my hiatus from points props and needing the right guy to be involved. I was out to dinner last night and I bet the over in Sabres Canadians, and it was 4-1 early. And I love that I didn't even need to click in to see who was involved. I'm like, great. I just need 2 more goals here.
Yeah.
Um,
Even though you still hit on your player props. I was on
I did.
Caulfield goal as well. That's my guy. I was actually looking, shout out to Pickett. I was looking at Pickett because you can now look at all you can look at your bets in all different ways. And I was just looking, and I think Caulfield is my most profitable my most profitable skater player prop for NHL, not even like going dating back to even some of last season. So shout out to Caulfield. He's been awesome. Scored that goal for us last night. He's great.
Especially at home.
Yeah,
He
at home.
got like 10 goals in 11 home games. All right, let's keep it moving because that was actually just one of 15 games.
We're
Uh,
gonna skip over some though.
sure. Next, I've got um, on my schedule is Carolina, Arizona. Definitely think you could look at
Cool.
Hurricanes here. I'm actually just going to put them to win in regulation in a parlay with Dallas, who we can get to a little bit later. But I think there's a ton of good looking spots here. I mean, Arizona lets up the most power play shots per game. So guys like Sveshnikov and Burns and Aho, conceivably should all put up shots. And it is Arizona, and all their prices are pretty reasonable. I just couldn't make up my mind. And since I'm just going to bet them to win, I'll just bet on a ton of shots and goals and be happy with the result. Is there anyone sticking out to you here?
Um, yeah, you see the plus money on Svetch, and that's nice. And you see it in this matchup. I believe he's been hitting more often on the road, though he has hit in his past 2 home games. Um, yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of good looks. So, like you said, it's hard to pick one. Burns got bumped up to 3.5, and I mean, I'm not gonna mess with that anyway. I couldn't even get him right at the 2.5 line when he was crushing almost every game. But their power play, I'm looking at. I was trying to see points there, and it looks like it's slowed down. For them, I don't see
Carolina, yeah, they're not scoring on the power play.
any power play points at all. So that kind of sucks. Because this would be, you figure a spot where they get some chances, but Arizona's penalty kill isn't awful anyway.
No, it's pretty solid, and I
Yeah.
that might explain why Arizona's letting up the most power play opportunities and the most shots. Yeah, but it almost makes me like Carolina shots a little more, knowing Coyotes have been a pretty solid penalty kill, and
Yep.
Carolina can't score in the power play
Keep them
because
on the power play shooting.
Yeah, because guys like Sveshnikov, he's up there in the top 10 in the league in power play shots with 22. Um, so maybe they're just not quality shots, but the volume is there. And it definitely should be again tonight. His price was really reasonable. I think he might have been plus money to go over 3.5.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It stands out, and he has hit in 2 straight home games after going under in a few. Uh, yeah, I think that look does make sense. I don't know. I've been having tough go when I start loading up too many shots on goal on a slate, but that plus money seems to make some sense. Guess the power play shots, Arizona should give them the opportunity, and based on some numbers, maybe give them a tough time scoring on that power play. So that'll let them be out there and shoot more. So don't hate that.
Yeah, that's really all. I think we can keep it moving.
Mhm.
I'd stay off Arizona. I'm sure Clayton Keller he'll hit his shots because he didn't last game. But no numbers to back that up. Montreal, Columbus on paper seems like a really good spot for shots, but I just couldn't find something I love. I mean, Caulfield, like we just mentioned, is he shoots more on the road. But this is an instance of the back to back scaring me a little bit. Less than Darlene because Buffalo is head home. Montreal's hitting the road. Columbus is a great shot target. One of the best, and they're going to continue to be so. But I just couldn't. Was not in love with anything, and the odds were so bad that I think I'm going to just avoid this game.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where his last back to back was. He went
Missed.
from an away game to a home game and went under on the second game for whatever that's worth. I do think it's a good spot. He has nice volume, but it's up at minus 145, so that's going to be, some people might play those kind of things straight or not, or I don't, especially not on this slate personally. But yeah, he's been shooting. Um, can't deny that.
No, and I mean he had 5 against Columbus 6 days ago, and
At
he
Columbus too. So it's a good spot. Maybe if you dabble, I don't know. He's the last 4 times he's gone over this line, it's been 5-6, 5-6 shots. So I wonder what his alt line will be there.
and it's let me see at home. Let me just make sure this is impactful before I share it. It's not really. It's starting to even out a little bit. So let's just forget I said anything. His shots are just steady. He's just a stud, best player on this team. In a good spot. You just would probably need to parlay him with something. So I'm out.
Yeah, or you got to drink. What is it? It's minus 145 there. So got to go for the juice. But um, yeah, I'm not gonna play that one straight. We'll see what the alt lines open up at.
What about the Columbus side? I mean, it's just so tough without Werenski and Line to feel good about anyone. Gaudreau hasn't gone over in 6 games. I mean, Montreal is a good shot target too, but there's nothing to feel good about him for the Blue Jackets. I feel like
Yeah, I think it's a bummer that Jenner dropped off a little bit. The opportunities there, uh, it was there for him in the beginning. He was firing away, but that seemed to balance out a bit. His volume's back down. So yeah, it's going to be a tough side to predict with what's going on there. Probably just avoid it.
all right. Now let's keep it moving. Next one I see is Nashville, Detroit. I do think there's some interesting value here. Probably more in the shots, at least for me. Um, I always like targeting Nashville. Finding a power play shooter against Nashville and just how many penalties they have and how many shots they allow. Um, there's a couple good options on Detroit. Perron leads the team in power play shots, and then Kubelik and Larkin are right behind him. I like Larkin. I'm paired him with Darlene. Larkin's just been really steady lately. He's over in 4 straight, 6 of his last 7. That came in, I think, at plus 147, those two together. I don't know. I thought about Nashville. Again, it's one of those, there's 30 teams playing and nothing really stood out to me that much on the Nashville end.
Yeah. Uh, you have your guys who have been producing pretty well, but let me see. Duchesne, he has been he's over in his last 4 or 5, which is nice. Hasn't been productive on the road up to this point, so we'll see if he can carry that home momentum into the match. But uh, yeah, I like Larkin. I think he's a good look for, like you said, shots, points. He gets assists at home as well. Uh, I think he could help out on the power play. Um, and yeah, I was looking at Kubalik, but I don't know. I don't know how much to put into it. He's been shooting a lot more on the road than at home, though it is a good power play spot, which he does get some shots on. He's at minus 125, but his volume at home's been a little questionable.
I gotta say, I think it's too late for me to add another play, but I think there's some merit to Detroit's money line. Um, I've just been trying to keep it really simple here. I share those home road split datas, shots and goals every day, and then in Gold Boys, I put in very detailed power play notes. Started doing that for just every game, not just the spots that look good. And in the simplest terms, I mean, Nashville is only scoring 2.8 on the road, and Detroit's actually been surprisingly tight to goals at home, letting up 2.7. And I'd have to give the edge when you look at power play and PK to Detroit. Nashville's scoring at the fifth lowest rate on the power play. Red Wings aren't really letting up a lot of opportunities for that anyway, and they're stopping them when they do. And then, as mentioned, Predators really struggle with penalties. That's minus 115, which I don't hate. I haven't memorized how these teams have been doing lately or against each other. I'm going to poke into that now, but I did note, I've been starting to look at unders, or at least just, I don't know, consider them. And I had noted maybe Nashville's team total under as a play because of that.
Yeah, I'm interested. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll probably poke around with it. What Larkin is in a same game parlay on Bet 365 for like him to hit over 2.5 shots and get a point. If that's I might look at that. If that's a decent price, I think he's in line for a pretty decent game here.
Yeah. Predators have beaten the Red Wings 6 straight times, so that makes me like it a little less. But Detroit scored 13 goals in their last 2 games, um, and won both, as you might expect.
Mm,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like that Larkin combos. I
yeah, I think he's gonna have a good game. All right, you want to jump into the next one?
Yeah, next one I got down should be a fun one. Boston, Florida. These Florida home games are always a shot fest. I think we're on the same play here. I don't think you've locked it in yet, but I know you mentioned it with Pasta.
Yeah, his shots look nice. I know, 4.5 high line, but uh, it's justified based on his stats. So um, you got a guy who's hit in 13 of 19 games. He had 8 shots on goal the last time he met against Florida. It's just the power play is really it. He should get his chances. Florida definitely gives out power play opportunities, and like you said, their games have just been they shoot a lot in general, and it they've been letting up some shots too, and especially on that power play. So you got a guy like Pasta who's shown he can clear this 4.5 line. Um, you know, not just by the one shot. He has huge games. He's had it against them, and he takes the most shots on the power play for Boston. So this looks like a spot that'll be good for him. I like his goal as well. Um, his goal is normally, I've seen it at minus 110 for some games, and it's at plus 135 here, which seems pretty nice considering his involvement on the power play.
Yeah, I definitely think he can score. got 3 goals in his last two, and he scored against Florida off one of those 8 shots he had against them in October.
McAvoy assist again.
True.
Dude, just rolling.
Boston is, I mean, they're the best team in the league right now. I mean, I guess you can argue the Devils too are red hot. Boston's just dominating. Um,
Yeah,
17
wow.
and 2 is crazy. I definitely like Pasta shots at minus 108 is so reasonable for, I mean, it's just a good rule of thumb. Whoever's the leading power play shooter when they play Florida, you should probably bet on their shots. Just happens every night. I wouldn't be surprised if this game, gets 70, 75 total shots between these two teams. I couldn't really find someone in Florida I trusted, but I do trust Pasta to keep it rolling.
Yeah, the McAvoy has 8 assists in his past 4 games. A power play assist in 4 straight games, and they will not give a line. They put lines out for every other guy except for him last game. Still same thing this game. Uh, guy, we saw this last season as well. He went on a crazy run with assists and it just sat at plus money, and it's at plus 102 still today. So if you think they're getting their power play chances, I wish I could put something on power play point. I would have put it on, last game as well. But I guess the books are just aware of that. I don't know. Not giving it to us.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, I would be so surprised if Boston can't score a power play goal tonight. Just with the numbers that, and I'm sure you're looking at similar numbers to me, but I just have Florida. They're handing out the 7th most power plays. They have the 11th worst penalty kill, and they're seeing the 2nd most power play shots against them. And Boston is the 3rd best power play scoring team right now, scoring on 30% of their chances. That's just such a beautiful clean sweep. It's them and the Rangers are the only two teams that just have that clean, really great opponent and really nice success rate themselves. So I definitely think Boston's scoring on the power play once, maybe twice. Actually, I think their team total at 3.5 looks solid. I bumped it down to 2.5 and paired it with the Islanders, who we'll get to. I'd be, Bruins are scoring over 4 goals per game on the road, and that power play success is a big reason why. So this is a great matchup on paper for them to do it again.
Yep. Yeah, gonna play pasta shots. The goal at plus 135 though, yeah, usually when I'm looking at goals, I tend to do half a unit just because obviously they're just a harder, lower hit rate generally and stuff like that. Uh, I don't know though. Seems like such a good spot for pasta. Kind of, it's tempting to kind of just go all in on him.
Yeah, I like that. I'd like to do a goal parlay today. And the fact pass is plus 135.
Yeah,
I like
we'll have to put him in that for sure.
um yeah, I think you could look Florida's way for shots. I mean, Boston, they do let up a lot of power plays as well, but they actually don't let up a lot of shots on the power play. Um, but I mean, Florida at home is their own breed. It almost doesn't really matter. People are going to be involved. I just didn't really find anyone on Florida that I loved. Some of the defensemen have been rolling, like Montour. Um, Bruins pretty tight at defenseman shots, which scares me off a little bit. Just even scanning props.cash, you can quickly see some positional data. They're rarely ever letting a defenseman get to 3 shots, which is what
Yeah,
Montour need.
some of these guys going over are hitting to Vancouver and Buffalo. Yeah, Dallin went over, had a Vancouver guy hit. I don't know. But he has been rolling. He has 4 and 7 shots, and he's at minus 110. But I just like the other angle better for Boston here.
Yeah, I mean, Kachuk had 6 shots when these teams met, a month ago. You could do, load up the studs to score similar to, Caulfield and Tage last night. Maybe Kachuk Pasta, the 2 power play shot leaders, just volume leaders in general. Could definitely score here.
I might mess around with something on the side. We do shots and stuff like that in these same kind of parlays, but maybe just like kind of shoot my shot here with like a parlay, either pasta goal, McAvoy assist, and stuff like that, or even some power play points in this one. And just obviously keep it a small bet, maybe like a quarter unit or something like that, and just uh, try to call my shot here on this game with those angles.
Yeah, I think this is the right game to do it. This and we talked about before we went live. Calgary Pittsburgh is sort of in the similar vein. Just some really high octane offenses meeting. Should be a fun game. Um,
Yeah,
cool.
let's do you have anything in that one, or you want to just keep going here?
Let's keep. Well, actually, I think we're going to get to that one next because the next two I have, I don't think either of us have much. Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Toronto, New Jersey. I think for the sake of time, we're going to skip both of those. We just weren't seeing much. And I think
New Jersey's rolling. If you wanted, I mean, it's pretty late at this point. If you haven't been already riding on the streak with them to win in general, to hop on. But if you've already been riding that, you're in the green. So if you've been on the Devils train, I feel like at this point you've built up a little bit of money there. You could just keep going with them. They're looking so good.
yeah, they are. Um, like I don't know if they've played yet, but Devils Bruins is a game I'd like to be watching soon. See how those two teams match up. Devils just been cruising. Let's go to Calgary Pittsburgh. I think there's some good angles on both sides. I think both teams should be able to get their shots off. They both just shoot so much that it almost doesn't matter if a team is tight. Calgary is tight to shots overall, but they let up so many power plays that I haven't had an issue targeting them. I have one name. I don't know if you have any. I like Jake Gensel at plus money. It's I did a half unit on him. Let me just bring him up so I can articulate it a little bit more. But he's better at home for sure. He's over in 4-6 at home this season. He's over in 3 of his last 4 he's played against Calgary. Very involved on the power play. And I don't know, it's just one of those games, high profile games where I think he steps up. Kind of a gut feel there, and I really like the odds. He's been going under a lot, but he's got to go over again at some point. And I think tonight's a nice time to dabble in that, in what I think is similar to Boston, Florida, a 70-75 shot kind of night.
Yeah, makes sense. First thing I wrote down in this game was just that Backlund is 100% going to bounce back. I've mentioned there's just some of those guys. You mentioned it with like Hughes and Eichel. There's just some guys that no matter how much you chase, or not chase in a bad way, but just you find these spots that make so much sense, and just, the guy just will not freaking do it for you. And that's Backlund. And last game, he just didn't come through for me. And he had 6 shots last time he played Pittsburgh. He's been better on the road. He only took 1 shot last game, of course. No surprise there. It's like when I bet Burns. Well, Burns will still shoot. He'll just freaking get all of them blocked when I bet him. But still, same scenario. Just a guy that I always like him in these spots, and I pick it wrong. And then I just feel like today, of course, he's gonna just spite me, go over. I'm almost tempted to just play it again, honestly.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
I think you could. I mean, Penguins been letting up around 34 shots at home, and Calgary's shooting over 37 as a team. Somebody's getting off because a lot of really just about none of them hit last game.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, all these guys we trusted and they didn't come through. So uh, numbers wise, you got to imagine somebody's coming bouncing back, having a game.
Yeah, I wrote down Toffoli. Did I play Toffoli or did I? I think I crossed Toffoli off my list, so that probably means he's good for 4 to 5. Really nothing. I had to put him in a 2-legger, and I had too many 2-leggers written down that I just deleted 2 of them.
Yeah, I think the Flames will score some goals here, and just like a name I have tentatively written down. Maybe use him in a long shot or something. Kadri's slowed down. His volume has slowed down. And he's gone, I think, like 6 games or something without a goal. He had 2 when he played Pittsburgh last time. Um, just thinking if this game does get up there with, like, lots of shots and some offense going on, uh, could be a get right spot for him. Um, get back on the board with a goal. But yeah, I do think this game has a lot of opportunity. I'm just struggling to find one that really jumps out to me to back. That's all. Maybe Backlund.
Yeah, I'm just poking around and not. I wish like just somebody was consistent, scoring against these guys. I'm not seeing much besides Michael Stone. That's
Yeah, I'm good with moving on to another game here.
yeah. Let's keep it moving. What do we got next? I'm seeing, oh yeah, Edmonton Islanders. Why don't we talk about this? We'll get to it. It's the pick it play of the day, but I don't think it's too early to talk about it. You locked it in. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I went to Dobson. Um, it's just one of those spots that I just like all of the numbers behind it. He's been hitting overall, hitting the 2.5 shot on goal line. He's been hitting it pretty well. He's got some games with 4 plus shots. He's been good at home, hitting it more at home.
Get it home.
And then you just got Edmonton, who is letting up shots overall, and one of the top targets for defensemen. Um, Dougie, I talked about Hamilton on the last show, I believe, and I didn't pull the trigger on him. He ended up coming through. Granted, it was right at the. I think he got his 4th shot right at the end, but still, just these defensemen have been finding ways against Edmonton. So I like Dobson in this one.
Yeah. Plus, you might have mentioned it, and I didn't hear you, but Oilers also good target on the power play. Dobson's right up there. Him and Brock Nelson lead the way
Hmm.
by a pretty sizable margin. It's those two, and it's not really close. Um, I was very surprised at how reasonable Dobson's odds were today after we were. It's just nice that he's up every night because we were begging for his lines to start coming out, a couple weeks ago. So I'm glad he's out here every night for us. He's a wagon at home. Guys, like at minimum, getting 8 attempts off. Really nice ladder candidate today, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah,
I
he's averaging about 8 shots, 8 attempts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think Brock Nelson looks solid too. He's much better at home, and Oilers have struggled to. They're letting up shots all over the place. So Brock Nelson was minus 130, which I found reasonable as well. But I bet Dobson with you. I woke up a little late today, and I was already seeing a lot of people, a lot of Dobson rumblings. So once I got to that game, like, oh yeah, that makes sense why everyone's talking about him. Um, so I'll hop in. That's really all I got for that game. I do like the Islanders to score. Um, as I mentioned earlier, I paired them to score 3+ with Boston. I think those odds actually got better since I wrote the article about it. It's like plus 130 on DraftKings for those two teams to score thrice. I'm going to stay off Edmonton tonight. Islanders kind of tight to shots. I don't know if you were looking that way at all.
No, again, I'm trying to really go with something that's really jumping out at me in that game. It was just Dobson. Seems like everything was lining up. So that's pretty much what I just settled in on that game. Um, wasn't really looking at the Edmonton side. Same kind of thoughts you had that uh, Islanders could probably score. Lee and Nelson stuff. They're involved a lot together with points and things. So there's opportunities there, but Dobson shots is my look.
Did you like anything in Washington, Philadelphia?
Um, not nothing really jumped out. I saw Carlson got bumped up in his shot on goal line, so I think he was. What was he plus money for 3.5? Or I just know he got bumped up.
Plus
Uh,
120. He's got 3 and 5 straight, and he's got 16 in his last three.
yeah, so he seems like a good angle. I think I saw that Oshie is returning, though. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to affect anything, but just a dynamic change there.
Yeah, I didn't really like that game. I don't know why. I didn't have anything in that one.
Plenty to
So
look at, so we could just go on to the next one.
yeah, next one I got written down Chicago, Dallas.
I'm excited to bring up something in this game, and I don't know if I have the strength to play it though. Maybe I should just do it because I'll just if it happens, I'll just be like saying I told you so and hate myself. But so we got Tyler Sagan here. He's not been shooting at all. I think he's got 10 straight unders under 2.5. It is a not a great just not great volume or anything. But I have to just bring up the fact that he's gone over 2.5 shots on goal in I think 24 of his last 25 games against Chicago and like 30 of 34 overall. And I know that's you can't base everything off of that. He's up at like plus 145 to hit 3 shots today. He's got under in like 10 straight. Just a wild statistic there.
Yeah, I'm looking at his team log now. This is ridiculous.
24 of his last 25 games against Chicago. I think he
Yep.
has 3 or more
I'm
shots.
I'm only seeing one game under 3 shots going back to 2015.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's just wild. I'm like it's last 10 games. I'm not exaggerating. He's gone under 2.5 every time and he has no volume. This is like no volume at all. So I can't bring myself to play it because statistically it's just doesn't make sense. But I will be if it happens, I'm just gonna laugh. But that's just a
I,
wild it's crazy.
I think I need to challenge you on that. Who cares if it doesn't? How many times is a guy hitting all the time and he gets a great target? He goes under. Like flip the script. This guy's gone under 10 straight times.
Yeah.
Chicago is they're a great shot target. They're
Zero
great,
shots.
great, power play target too. And while Robinson is dominating the power play, Sagan is second on the team in power play shots.
Oh
I
Jesus.
mean, I don't know. I think you need to do it. I mean, that history is crazy.
He
Screw
has
this.
look at his volume, right? Last game, 0 shot attempts. The game before that, 2. Game before that, 3. Game before that, 1.
Yeah, but those are some tough teams. Tampa, Florida, Islanders, Colorado at home. I mean,
Jeez.
I don't know. I think you're going to be way more upset if you don't play this and it wins than if you play it and it loses. So I think you need to bring that into consideration. Screw the nothing makes sense for shots on goal anymore. So I think you just throw out your criteria of needing a hit rate to feel good about something. You just see since 2015, this guy loves playing Chicago.
Well, the hit, it's not the hit rate. I'm saying, yeah, sure, 10 straight under. Is that volume is just disgusting. Zero attempts last game. 1 attempt 2 games or 3 games ago. That's the part that's really if he was hitting 2 shots on goal and maybe his volume was slightly less than ideal, then it'd be like, all right, yeah, it'd be a little bit more excited. That's just so gross. But I mean, you're right. We've been finding all these guys who not knocking your play last night. I thought it was great. Zibanejad had shots was such a good price. He's been hitting it this season, so it all just it made sense. And then he didn't come through. So the Kings last night, there's a bunch of guys who've been going under on their shots recently with no volume. Velarde was one of them. He had 2 attempts, I think, in 2 previous games before last night. And he ends up getting shots against the Rangers and freaking goal and stuff. So maybe we'll see. Well, a
He's,
little dabble on it, half a unit or something.
I think, in the grand scheme of things, half unit loss isn't much, but calling your shot right on a second win is going to feel pretty nice. So,
And a
if you
pretty
can,
consistent under if you've been an under player using him. I actually do know an account, Plunder the Under on Twitter. He has been just playing Sagan under shots parlayed with some dudes under power play point, that we used to talk about, and
Mhm.
just been crushing it over and over and over again. So makes sense. I just had to bring that up. That history against Chicago had to bring it up.
Yeah, that's a great look. I think Dallas wins. Paired them with Carolina, like I talked about at the top of the show. They should be able to get their shots off and score plenty. And Chicago's going to have a very hard time scoring against the Stars. Let's keep it moving because it's 12:49. Um, Rangers Ducks. All I
Zibanejad
really
gonna score.
say about this, yeah, Zibanejad will score and bounce back. It's a great option for him. I took Rangers to win in regulation. That was minus 106 on FanDuel. I'm not worried about a back to back or the backup goalie. You know, the Ducks are the Ducks, and there's just such a stark gap here in the special teams quality. You know, the Rangers penalty kill and power play are both elite, and the Ducks are anything but. So I'm
Yep.
expecting it to be, you know, maybe a 3-1 Rangers win, but they're going to score on the power play. It'll be Mika, and they're going to shut down the Ducks. I don't care if it's not Shesterkin in net. I think that's some quality value. Minus
Yeah,
106.
the power play is terrible. Let up so many shots. Just it just seems like after looking at him last night, you were on his shots, and that the power play numbers made sense. Just be like it didn't come through. So I guess that same and even better opponent in those metrics. So I think he can bounce back here. I like his goal.
Yeah, I like a Pasta Mika combo at goal. We'll need to find a third leg, but let's keep it moving. Sorry, we're kind of rushing through these games now. Vancouver, Colorado. This is probably my favorite bet of the night, to be honest. Is the over in this one, 6.5 at minus 115. Um, Canucks games overs, just a great betting trend. If you've been following that, they're 13-6 in Canucks games this year. And, you know, I think Colorado will do the heavy lifting probably. You know, they're averaging about 4 goals a game at home, and Vancouver's letting up 4.3 on the road. But Vancouver, you know, carries their weight scoring as well, which has certainly helped all these games go over. And, you know, you probably sense the theme at this point with how I'm looking at these team totals. But back to the power play and penalty kill. I don't know how to ignore it. We've got Vancouver's the fifth best power play scoring team. Colorado, ninth worst penalty kill. Other side, Colorado, the top power play scoring team. They're scoring on 34.5% of their power plays, and Vancouver's got the second worst PK. Definitely like a Colorado power play point if you want to go that angle. I'm just betting the over. I think both teams can score on the power play, and I think Colorado will. If you had to pick one team, I'd pick Colorado for sure, but I'm thinking this will be a nice, you know, 5-2, 5-3 kind of game.
Yeah, I agree. I like the over in this one. I didn't dig into it much for like props currently. But I like all those numbers. I do think Vancouver they've been such a solid target, and you can just see it in their goaltending and stuff. What was it last season? I think it was just Demko was he was really good. It was just a lot of wear and tear, a lot of miles on him. I think last season he played so many games, and he was a guy that I think there was some people playing like his over saves, almost all the time last season, just because they would give up shots and he was just being so good. Seems like it's caught up a bit, and this season has been giving up goals and stuff. So I think, yeah, Avalanche at home should be in a good spot to rack them up. And when you got a guy like Bo Horvat, who's just been scorching the earth with goals and stuff, uh, there's chance for them to get some as well. It looks good.
Yeah. I got nothing in San Jose, Seattle. Um, I imagine you'll probably be similar in the last game of the slate. We've made it to game 15, Ottawa, Vegas. Definitely think there's some nice value here, especially on the Vegas end for shots. We've talked about it, but Ottawa, when they're on the road, you just got to target them. You know, they're letting up almost 39 shots per game, just under 4 goals. You know, Vegas as a team shoots plenty. I like, we used to be scared off by the bump, but less so this year. I think Marchessault's shots look awesome. 3.5 at plus 112. He's over in 3 of his last 4, 2 straight at home, and he's really had Ottawa's number. He's gotten 4+ shots, 9 of his last 11 against the Senators, And Ottawa lets up a lot of power plays, and it's Marchessault who now leads the team in power play shots, which is a big reason why his attempts are just up too. If you look his last 5 games compared to the 5-10 before that, you just see an increasing role that I think should continue.
Yeah.
I'd take that plus money. I took him to score too.
Yeah. I didn't have anything locked in for this one. I had notes written down. Theodore shot on goal. I think he's hitting 5 straight now, and not just hitting the 3 shots. He's getting over that line in these games. His volume looks pretty nice. Nice opponent, like you said, Ottawa giving up all those shots. I'm actually thinking about it now. I think a good angle in this game would be if you can do it on 365. I'm seeing both Stone and Eichel at at a line for 1 point. They're juiced minus 250 and minus 210. But Stone's got 5 points in his last 3 games. He had 2 against Ottawa. And then you got Eichel. He had a point against Ottawa, and he's got 5 points in his last 4 games. I might just parlay those 2 guys together to get a point together. It's correlated. And they've been rolling. It just seems like such a good spot with Ottawa giving up so many shots. And if you're giving up 40 shots, that would be a hell of a shutout from your goalie. So I think that Vegas will score. And I like those 2 guys together. Very productive. So if you could slap them in a point parlay, I'm going to check that out when we get off the show, see what that price is.
Cool. Yeah, I like that combo. All right. I mean, we got to get to, we'll quickly go best bets here and pick a play of the day. Wrap up here with Gold Boys. Best bets, as I look back over my plays, I think it's that Vancouver, Colorado over I just mentioned. And I also think Pasta's shots look really solid. And I mean, I could just list all of them, but Bruins Islanders both to score 3 times. I really like that combo. Those would probably be my best bets. How about yourself?
Yeah, Pasta shots. I'm agreeing with you there. The opportunity he should be getting in the power play in this game is hard to ignore. Um, I really like that last one. I kind of just stumbled into very briefly Eichel and Stone to tally some points together. Uh, just, like I said, seems like a really good opportunity with Ottawa on the road. I like your overplay in Vancouver and Colorado. I might join on that one. Just seems I like those teams to produce some goals and give them up as well. And yeah, I think aside from that, like pasta goal and a zip goal look nice. But I think we're in agreement on the next portion, the pick it play of the day. We're both just loving Dobson. Noah Dobson over 2.5 shots in goal. I had gotten it at minus 122 earlier. But that's definitely our pick it play of the day. I think we align on that one. Edmonton should give up power play opportunities. He shoots on the power play. They give up shots to the defensemen. They give up shots overall. He's been shooting, and he has great home numbers. So checks
Yeah,
it all off.
it does. All right, that's 15 games today. No games tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Hope everyone has a great day, however they celebrate. Thankful for Gold Boys and Pickett for giving us this opportunity. Thankful for you, Walla, that we get to chat puck and find some angles together. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday, so I'm ready to gorge myself tomorrow and be asleep around 7:30. Don't need to sweat any hockey bets. Yeah. So I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. Hope everyone listening does as well. We'll be back on Monday.
Yep, that pretty much covers it all. See you guys. Have a good one.